My name is Shahieda Jansen. I'm a clinical psychologist by training. Since October 2016, I am the Deputy Director of Academic Support and ICT at UNISA, the Cape Town campus in Parow. And presently, this discussion emanates from an invitation that I had received to discuss the integration of spirituality and mental health care treatment. So I'm really, with this conversation, wanting to take a rather practical view, a practical engagement of how does one integrate the meaning frames of the client, of the mental health care client. How is that integrated into the treatment of the client? So that's really where this conversation is coming from. What I mean by spirituality, I mean the everyday meaningfulness of how clients make meaning of their lives, their context. What are the transcendences that gives meaning to their lives? So very broad. So I mean a broad range of practices, beliefs, discourses around how they see their lives and how they see higher powers or transcendence integrated into what they do every day. So that's my understanding of spirituality. And by mental health care, I'm looking at the issues, ordinary and daily issues of concerns that clients bring into the therapeutic context or the mental health care context. For instance, clients often struggle with extremes of emotion or behavior or extremes of mood. So we all may be a bit down, now and then, but we're talking about if you have a low mood over weeks and months that doesn't subside, or if your anxiety interferes with your daily functioning, or if you find yourself constantly sad or constantly angry or constantly lashing out at other people. We're not talking about a mental disorder here, but we're clearly talking about some kind of distress that is not physical, that is not medical, but is more about the person's psychological or mental aspect. And I'm looking at how does one integrate the spiritual with the mental health care? How do practitioners like myself, psychologists, social workers, counselors, even pastoral counselors or lay counselors, how do they take these kind of transcendental contexts of the clients, and how do they make that work in the care that they're offering to the clients? So that's really where this conversation is coming from. Now I'm going to divide this conversation into 3 areas, right? The first part is I'm going to talk to the fact that I'm going to be using perhaps broad, because most of the clients that I work with comes from a diversity of religious backgrounds and spiritual backgrounds. But most of the clients are both Muslim and Christian clients. So the first part of it is I will draw from sort of broadly in terms of from the Christian and Muslim traditions, how is spirituality and psychology integrated. Then the second part of this conversation, I will speak to how myself as a clinical psychologist, how do I integrate the client's spirituality in a very practical way. So I'll be speaking to a very real way in which, how do I do that? And then finally I will wrap up. And then I will also leave the viewers with some information about where you can actually read up a little bit more on this information or on this discussion around the integration of spirituality and psychology.